Alright, today we're working on a 99 Windstar. We're going to be changing the clock spring out. This one has a problem with the cruise control not working, which is usually pretty common for the deactivation switch on there, but that one's been changed out already. But it also has code for the front, the driver's side airbag on there. So it's a little funky setup, and you're supposed to need a 5-point socket instead of a 6-point socket. So we're going to delve into it together, and we're going to figure it out. I haven't changed one of these before. On these ones or Escapes where the airbag is integrated into the steering wheel. It's a weird setup on there. They just don't fail. So I guess the guy took up the steering wheel on here and messed the clock spring up. So we're going to change up the clock spring and pull the steering wheel off first. I'll show you how that's all done. Besides that, the clock spring is pretty simple, but I'll walk you through that also. Now this is the code I have right here, a B1932, which is for the driver's side airbag circuits open, which basically means that it's always watching the resistance of that airbag at all times, and all the other sensors in the car that have to do with the restraint control module. And whenever it sees an open or even a higher resistance than what it should be, which is around 2.4, 2.7 ohms, if it goes to like 3.5 or 4.7 or even 10, it's going to set a code like it's open. It just thinks it's open. It doesn't mean it has to be an actual open circuit. Once it's past the threshold of resistance, that 2.7 or so, it's going to just say it's open and set a code for it. So I'm sure the clock spring's broken in here, causing all the issues. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's the steering wheel. Like I said, it's the steering wheel and airbag's integrated. There's no airbag to unbolt and take off of here. So what you got to look for is an access panel down below here. You put your screwdriver into here, a flathead or whatever, okay, and you pull that off. Now you can see everything inside of there. Now before you go any further with this, what you want to do is disconnect the negative battery cable and isolate it. That's very important, just like this. So we took the negative off of here already, and then you wrap the towel around it and then pushed it away, so there's no chance it can contact with that negative post. You don't want an airbag going off on you accidentally while you're working on it, especially that close. Disconnect the battery for 10 minutes like that, and let it the capacitors in the restraint control module deplete for 10 minutes, and then we can start taking apart the connections in the steering wheel here, okay, and then we can finally get to that bolt, and it should just slide off after that. Okay, I have some light in here. We're going to go up inside of the steering wheel there. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for and take apart on there, and where the bolt's at, so you can slide the steering wheel off of there. Okay, I got some light up in here. Hopefully you can see all that. Now what you're going to want to disconnect inside of here is this one right here, which is for the airbag itself. You should be able to see that one right there. Disconnect that one. And then there's this one right here, and that's for the cruise controls and all that stuff on there. Disconnect these two, and then we're gonna go after this right here. You should be able to see right there. That's that 5-point bit on there, the little bolt head on there, the 5-point instead of the 6-point. It's weird. They don't want no one tampering with the airbags on here. So disconnect the connectors, and then we'll start unscrewing the bolt on there. And I'll put you down on the ground here so you can watch me do everything, hopefully. Okay, let's pull up on this little tang right here, and this one comes out. Very simple. Now the airbag one's got a little more tension on it and shorting bars on there. But on this side, there's a tab on it also. And you should be able to pull that one off. Like so. Okay. And those can simply flop off to the side. Now also make sure your steering wheel's in the straight ahead position, your wheels on there. This one already is. Okay, and then we're going to grab our 5-point socket, which looks like, nope, not like that, like that. And it's 1/4-inch drive. And you simply loosen the fitting on here 20 to 30 turns, and it should come off of there. Now on this one in particular, it's a 6-point or something on there, and a 7mm works on it. They might have changed it, a running change. He did say it's the Canadian vehicle, so you may still need that socket for the American ones on there. So, 20, 30 turns they said, and then you should be able to slip it right off of there. So, okay, now on mine, I had to go back and forth a couple times and then finally get past that hump on there and loosen it. Yours may or may not have that issue. But you see how I'm loosening at 20-30 turns, and then you start grabbing the steering wheel? See how it's flopping now? You only need to get so far that you can get the thing off there. It's like a little set screw in there, so that's all there is to it. We can get it out of here. We have plenty of access for the clock spring then. This big bad boy out of the way. Probably has not been 20-30 turns yet. Alright, there it goes. And as you can see, our connections on here, you can see them right there. You need to fish them through that area on there. A little access hole. Get them out of there. Here you go. And as you can see, our clock spring was obviously broken. I did not yank on that. And the ends on there, it's very fragile. So if you're not careful, you will do this. So if we're in here, we're probably changing the clock spring anyways. But if you're pulling a steering wheel off and you're following this video, watch these two leads. They're going to be curved and inside the steering wheel. Snake them out of there before you yank that steering wheel off and do this. So that's what he did before, and that's why we're changing it now. Now, the next thing we need to do is pull the shroud off of the steering column here, and in order to do that, we need to pull the knee bolster off of here. So I'll walk you through that now. A couple 8mm bolts down here. Yours should not have washers on them like this. They should be just like this. A couple of those down here, and then up top it simply snaps in, so you can just pull on it and the whole thing will start, you know, coming off of here. And then the same thing right here. This is the actual knee bolster. There's a couple more 8mm bolts. Take those out and put that to the side. All those 8mm bolts are the same, so you can just put them all together and won't get mixed up. Now here's the steering column shroud itself. We'll pull that off so you have full access to the clock spring. And they're just Phillips head bolts, screws in there. So use a regular screwdriver. Anything else that gets stuck inside of there when you're trying to get them out of there, they're just too deep inside of there. Yeah, there should be at least 3 of them on here. And then we'll take the pieces apart, the 2 pieces top and bottom. After these screws are out, they still snap together. Take them out far enough, and they might get stuck in there. Once we start taking them apart though, they're going to fall at the bottom, so just watch where they go. Now the other thing is this right here for the column adjust. Take that out, off to the side. Make sure, see, there they go, they fly out of there. This one's not out all the way. Now it is. There we go, see them? Get this out of the way. And you can see the clock spring is, that's fairly open now. Now what I do, that I didn't do yet, is I'll put this back in here. Okay. And then we'll go down like that a little bit so we can pop this up and out of here. There's a little more room. Okay, before you pull the top part of the shroud off of here, we got to release the ignition lock cylinder here. So put the key in to run position and then push in this ball right here, and the whole thing comes out together like that. And then we could finish taking it off. Alright, now just wiggle this off of here and get it past everything on here a little at a time. It's very flexible, and just get it past everything on here. There we go. Okay, we got the upper shroud out of the way. Now there's This one's been, this one, this right here, this wire coming out here and going to the underside of this PATS ring on here is your key and sense warning switch on there. So that comes with the new clock spring. Okay, so this one is clipped and a new one was put in here, but we're going to need to pull off this PATS transceiver ring on here carefully and get it out of there. See this right here? This is just your little boot for the shifter on there. It's all decorative. Pull up on that, get it off to the side like that. Okay. Okay, now these PATS transceivers right here, they clip onto the column, and also on certain ones like this one, they have one or so screws on the bottom side here. And it's a T20. It's a certain length to it, so keep it to the side so you make sure it goes back on there. And you give it a little bit of a wiggle, and this one comes right off of there. And you can see now this is that switch I was talking about. Okay, it just lift up on this right here, and it slides right out of there. Okay, so that's off. Then this right here, it's just a wire retainers pull through there, and just follow this yellow line all the way down, and you'll see a connector deep down inside of here. Just disconnect it from there. We can start working on the clock spring up here. Okay, see this? It's like a little gator lock on here. I want to call it. Just pull that out to the side, like so. See that? Off to the side, and that'll come out. Now, once you're disconnected right here, you have one line right here, and that's for all your steering wheel controls. And then you have one that goes over here. You can just follow it over there, right there, and that's for your airbag. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop them off of the bracket on here, and then we're going to disconnect them. And that's where this cat claw comes in handy. Get them off of there, prime up and off of itself. So we get them off without damaging anything. There we go. Now once they're free like that, you can reach around from the back side here and start releasing the tab on there and stuff like that. And then you can get to on this side too and push in a little bit and then pull out. And same thing with this one, push in a little bit. Okay, there's this one right here, and then they'll come apart. After that, make sure connections are correct and you pull the right ones off and free. And then we'll snake it up and through here, and our two connections and our key and sense are all free. Now it's time to get the clock spring off of here. Okay, now the clock spring simply snaps onto here. So there's a couple tabs on top and around. You'll see them on the new one and the old one. This one's so far gone. Probably just start taking it off here like this, and it's off at that point. And the new one going back on. Simply place it on here like this. You see there's two flats inside of there. Just match up the flats in here. And then make sure all your points on the column here line up. On the back side here. You see we're lined up. And there's like a locating nipple right here and a clip. So just get it onto there. Adjust this. Here. Now this right here, this locks it until we're in position on here. Now since we're a little bit off on there as far as the steering wheel straight ahead, you can just simply take this off of here. Just make sure that the rest of this does not unwind on you. So you should be able to simply pull it off like that and out of the way. That does not stay on there. And we can start aligning it properly on here now. And you'll feel it just fall on like that. And you can verify on the back side, and you just press on it until it snaps in, okay, all the way around. And then we're going to go around the outside here. We're going to verify the locators are correct, my tab's correct, locator, this one's locked on, and the one down here also. There's one down here, and you can feel it, just feel it thing, and you can tell it's securely mounted on there and correctly mounted. Like I said, it's unlocked, so at this point don't let it spin or anything like that. You don't want to start all over on here again. Okay, so right here, let's get this one in down here and fish through. Back in the same location we took it out of. Now let's do our connections down here. Okay. And make sure they click like that so you know they're fully secured. And the same thing on this side. And they only go in one way, so you can't mess it up. Okay, we got our wires all connected down there and secured to the steering column bracket. They're routed securely and correctly. Let's go back up here to the ignition lock right here and make sure this area is generally clean. And we're going to put this back on here. Only thing that holds it on is a little clip right there, so be very careful with these. Put it on there straight. Like that. Don't force it. You can see we're all lined up. And it simply snaps over and it's nice and secure then. Before we forget, let's get the transceiver ring back onto here, and it has an alignment tab right there, so you just line that up. Get everything all lined up on here. Make sure it goes down flush all the way around. Should not be cocked in there. And then down here, same thing, that same gold screw. Put it back into here. And you just tighten it by hand so it's snug. Okay, we got that. Now at this point I like to put the steering column cover pieces back on. We don't need them no more. So I'll put the trim piece here for the gear shift back into place. Okay. And the top piece back onto here. I'm able to snake it over and get it through. And it's very flexible, so just get it past without ruining anything else, and you'll be good. A little at a time on each side, and you'll get it on there. Just concentrate on lining it up. Okay. See it? I'll put this back into here. Make sure it's in the run position still. On here. Nice if I could see it. There you go. We'll simply, it'll lock in. At that point, you can turn it off. You can start snapping it back together so you can get it aligned like that on both sides, and then you can put your screws in after that. Now you are screwing into plastics, so let's be careful. It's all by feel. Once it kind of stops, that's it. Alright, let's get the knee bolster back onto here. and then our trim piece. Line up the tabs on there, both sides, and then this one right here will snap in and be lined up. Your 3 bolts back in down here. Okay. We can screw our tilt lever back in. Well, it's still really easy to do. Okay, so this is a very interesting way this thing works. Like I said, you just turn it, and that probably has some kind of worm gear mechanism in there, and it turns a regular bolt. Wow, that's very interesting. So what you're gonna want to do is put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, or red. You only need a little bit. Put it on the threads, and we're going back together. There's flats on here, same thing. So you really can't mess. Okay, few notes about going back in. Now this clock spring has gone through a few revisions on there, and ours was also turned a little bit, but what you have to realize is that this slot right here, okay, that's where this part, sliding on me, that's where this part used to go through. So we used to have to fish the wires through here. Okay, fish them through, put it on there, everything's gravy. Okay, now they have to align the clock spring to the steering wheel somehow. They have to lock it into it somehow. So they have this tab on the new one that goes here. Okay, so it locks itself to it, and these come out down here. It's all flush until down here, and those just simply go through this hole now to be bundled inside of here and connected. So it actually makes it a little bit easier going back together. So you just stick them through the bottom there and line your steering wheel up until it falls in like that. You can hear it like that. And then we can start with the screwing it into here. And it should also bring the steering wheel closer to the shroud on here if you sit here and look at it. And since it's a worm drive in there like that, it's going to take quite a few turns. You can see it getting closer though. It's very obvious that we're lined up and screwing in properly in there. And we're getting close now. Now once it's tightened down, everything looks good, feels good, we can torque this down on here. 17.5 Newton meters. There we go. Now, since these are out here in the open, they're much easier to clip in. We'll do this one first, right here. So it clips. We'll do this one real quick. We can tuck them back up inside of here. And this part simply clips into here. There we go. Okay, so whenever you do any kind of restraint work, airbag work, what you want to do is this right here. We're done with the clock spring, everything looks gravy. What you want to do is put your key in, on, okay, and laptop out of the way. And then we're going to go back over and connect the battery. This way, if there is a fault of any kind, you know, they mismanufactured that clock spring, whatever, and the airbag goes off, our face isn't in front of it. So it'll kind of prove itself out while we're over here by the engine, nice and safe. you can go ahead, make sure this is connected properly and tightened while it's proving out inside the vehicle. Alright, now once it's proved out and we're okay, I like to turn it off again and then turn it on again and watch the airbag indicator for myself. And make sure it goes out after it proves out and doesn't start flashing or do anything weird. Especially if you don't have a scan tool. Now, since I have a scan tool, I'm also going to do an on-demand test of it. And, you know, of course, clear the codes after that. So there's no history codes either. And we're past now, so airbag system is fully operational. So we'll clear the old codes on here, and this part of the project is done.